Was there a time when you warned everybody but no one listened? I saw bruises on his arms that morning and knew something was wrong. I was a bus driver for an elementary school, and the little boy came onto the bus wearing a thin t-shirt. He usually smiled a little when he got on, but this time he kept his head down. I tried to casually ask what happened. He quickly pulled down his sleeves and looked away without a word. Something about that really bothered me. Later that day, I saw exactly why. When I dropped him off, his stepfather was waiting at the stop. He grabbed the boy by his arm so hard he nearly fell onto the pavement. My stomach tightened instantly. I knew I couldn't just ignore it. The next day, I went straight to the principal's office and told her exactly what I'd seen. She just shook her head and said, "We can't do anything without proof. You drive a bus, not run social services." That made me feel helpless and angry all at once. Over the next 2 weeks, I couldn't stop watching him. He started looking worse every day. Dark circles formed under his eyes and he would flinch at loud noises or sudden movements. He wouldn't even eat the snacks I brought for the kids. Every day I noticed fresh bruises, and each one felt heavier on my conscience. I started doing small things just to let him know someone cared. I'd leave his favorite seat empty even if another kid asked for it. I'd slip little notes into his backpack to remind him that someone saw him. Once he glanced back at me with the smallest smile, but quickly looked away again. That broke my heart even more. Then he stopped coming to school. 3 whole days without seeing him. By day 3, my anxiety was through the roof. During lunch, I drove past his house just to check. Sure enough, his stepfather stood in the front yard screaming at him. The kid stood there shaking with tears running down his face. My hands were trembling on the wheel as I drove away. I called CPS right away. They told me they had looked into the family before, but his stepfather had friends in local government. The cases never went anywhere. My heart sank. When the boy finally returned, he looked worse than ever. Pale, quiet, afraid. As he passed me, he leaned close and whispered, "Things get worse when people ask questions." His voice was tiny, scared, and it almost made me cry right there in the driver's seat. Soon after that, the school called me into the office again. The principal warned me that I had crossed boundaries. Apparently, his stepfather complained about me giving the boy special attention. I left humiliated, but more determined than ever to keep an eye out. Then one rainy morning, he wasn't at his stop. The second I noticed he was missing, I knew something bad happened. My heart raced as I drove straight to his house without even thinking. I jumped out and knocked on the door, hard. The stepfather opened up, drunk and barely awake. I pushed past him. My body was shaking and my mind was racing. Inside, I heard muffled crying coming from down the hall. I ran straight toward the sound. I found him locked in a dark closet, curled up and sobbing softly. His arm was bent in a way it shouldn't bend. He looked up at me terrified. Without saying anything, I scooped him up gently and locked us both in the bathroom. My hands shook as I dialed 911. I remember telling him over and over, "You're safe now, you're safe." In the days after, the school board called me in to discuss firing me. They said leaving my bus route and entering someone's house was unacceptable. But before I could speak, fellow bus drivers and parents filled the room and stood up for me. They shared stories and backed up everything I'd said about the boy. Hearing them speak made me realize how important those small gestures had been. 6 months passed, and the boy went to live with his grandmother. He finally looked healthy, and his smile came easily again. When he boarded my bus one morning and sat in his favorite spot by the window, I felt relief flood my body. I knew I had done the right thing.